It's our At the Break feature here between games of the doubleheader with East Central. And something new for us, Donnie Hillerman joins us, and Ryan Suttenfield, as well as we will talk a little bit about the coaching staff here at North Central on the baseball side of things. Donnie, let's start with you first. Your objectives, your work tasks include the entire team. How do you divide up the duties, though, with Ryan? What are his responsibilities?
Ryan's been here long enough now, and I think over the years it's kind of been an evolution. I mean, I guess if you really get down to it, he might be more pitching, me more hitting, but the truth is and that's the thing, is as a coach, I've always wanted all the guys, everybody involved in the program to be involved with the entire program.
Okay.
I think it helps them become better coaches, but also I think it helps our program when everybody gets together. And I have so much confidence in him that I can be away overdoing something, and he can see a hitter, and he can make comments to a hitter, and I know that he's saying
doing
exactly
so,
what we need to be said. And and over time it gets better and better every year. And I think the duties sort of like have probably grown for him over time, and it's interesting too, because there's been times where we've had a third coach.
I was going to ask about that.
And I tell you, with our numbers, when you think about the ratio, it's nice to have that third coach for sure.
Right.
And we're getting older all the time, and it's harder for us to throw batting practice. So it'd be nice to have that young arm out there.
I was going to ask
those are all
you.
things that kind of weigh into it. But gosh, there's not hardly any aspect of it that, other than I don't think he wants to drive the bus. But other than
Right.
yeah, I think
not a bus driver.
any other duty,
Okay.
he's prepared to handle just as effectively as I would be. So
Okay, so Ryan, I'm going to ask you the same question in a moment, but I'm going to relay this story to you, though. First, I saw the other day before the game you were taking your BP out on the field, but they rolled a machine out. And I asked one of the kids, is that new? And they said, yeah, we don't have Coach Fry anymore to throw batting practice, so we've gone to the machine. Ryan, welcome, and tell me, 12 years now with Donnie working on his staff, there's got to be a real comfort level there, I would think, at this point.
Oh, yeah, there's pretty much everything that we do. I know what's going on. We've gone over it before, a practice or a team meeting or anything like that, and we're on the same page on everything within the program.
Right. I see you out there very early before games doing a lot of the field work. And are you kind of the guy that heads that up and sees what needs to be done and then does the field prep?
Yeah, it really just depends on who has time to do what. Our guys pitch in and do a ton of field work.
Sure.
After practices, after games. But this past spring break week, my wife was sick, so I stayed back and helped take care of Barrett and take care of her. So I was able to do some things at the field to make sure that we were prepped and ready for that opening weekend series with Moberly. Important stuff with the region.
Yeah. The region is interesting because we don't know if Heston's going to be a part of it out of Kansas. Could be 3, could be 4 teams, but that's kind of what you're building at through the season, obviously. How do you guys look at the teams and then prepare your team to be ready for a campaign through an entire season?
I mean, we're always trying to make assessments. You kind of hear some talk around like what this team looks like and what they do and don't do and some of that kind of stuff. Also, you look through the numbers, and the numbers often give you good data. Occasionally, they can kind of surprise you too. Like we may look at the numbers like, man, this looks like these guys can really do this well, and then we look at well, maybe it's just happening, for whatever reason, but differently. But no, we usually try to get a scouting report for each team and try to have a plan going in to those teams. But honestly, I think more often than not, I think Ryan would agree that at the end of the day, we end up telling our guys it's more about us than them.
Right.
I mean, if we come out and we play clean and focused, we're going to be tough. If we don't, we can get ourselves in trouble with anybody. So.
Speaking of being clean, I think that starts on the mound. And Ryan, we got a couple of great performances on Saturday from Martinez and also.
Eric Carrero.
Right, Carrero. Thank you very much. Tell me about them and working with them. What is it like to work with those two?
Oh, it's great. Both are really, really hardworking guys.
Both are Panamanians too, though.
They're both Panamanians, but they're both very hardworking. They do a lot of things outside of just our team practices and stuff too. That up in the weight room and things like that helps to keep them prepared. And I see that they're getting the benefits from that. Really, before the series, we really preach to our players that we need to do the things that we always need to do. Throw strikes, trust your defense at the plate, take solid at bats, and if you continue to do that in a 9-inning game, a 7-inning game, a 3-game series, more often than not, you're going to come out on top. And we didn't do that very well on the first day.
Right.
And then the second day, Alan and Eric both implemented that plan very well, and they had the guys backing them up, and we had success.
Yeah, you guys were busy in the first game of the series with Tawala on the hill. He struggled at times, was great at times. And how do you look at a pitcher deciding whether to leave him in? It's the old story: leave him in, take him out. What goes into that, Donnie?
Every year it's different because this year we feel pretty good about our bullpen. We got a pretty deep bullpen. But I was even talking with Fletcher from Moberly just last night. The consistency factor is the part,
Sure.
At this level, no matter who your guy is, finding a guy that's consistent is tough. So you can't just say, "Oh, we're going to go to that guy in the bullpen." Like when the Royals had that 3-headed monster at the end of their pin back in 15 or
Yeah.
you just knew you
Right.
roll them out there and you know what you're going to get in most cases. That we don't quite have. But this year I feel like we have a pretty solid group. And if one guy's comes out and doesn't look like right, we got another guy. So that helps. There's been a few years ago where it was smoke and mirrors. I mean, we had to be very, very, I think things had worked really well for us to get that back end done. So yeah, you think about what you got coming in there and what's out there. I remember the old saying that the story where Nolan Ryan tells Tom House, "I'm better than he got down that bullpen." So we got to think of what we got here, what we're maybe getting there. Pitch counts obviously play a factor. Cold, how many pitches did he throw per inning? You know what I mean? If a guy's thrown 80 pitches, but we're in the third, he's probably going to have to come out. If he's at 100 and we're in the seventh, he might be able to stay for a few more.
Right.
So yeah, those are all factors, I think.
I think one thing that has been a stumbling block for us so far this season is that inconsistency. A guy will come out one outing and just be lights out, pounding the strike zone, and then the next time out struggle throwing strikes. And our team's young. We have 13 sophomores and 25 freshmen, and freshmen are playing big roles all over the field, but especially coming out of the bullpen. So I think that as the season progresses, those guys will add that consistency factor, and hopefully we're playing our best ball at the end.
Right. Okay, so now give me a little bit of inside information here. You also, part of your duties are to go out and coach the bases. Ryan, I've always said first base coach is the best job in organized sports. You get to talk to people and just kind of enjoy things. But seriously, what are the things you look at first base as a first base coach?
Well, I'm constantly assessing, within the running game, what their catcher does well, what their pitchers are doing, giving our guys feedback on, team speed is a pretty solid aspect of what we do, but there are times that it's good to get going, other times not so much. And Coach Hillerman and I have coached together long enough that I can kind of know what he's thinking with regard to the running game and help our base runners to learn those things too. We tell them all the time in meetings that they have to be thinking the game along with us, and that helps with not missing signs or understanding. Maybe we want to work a count to get into a hit and run count, those types of things. So trying to teach our players how to play the game in that manner to fit the style that we're trying to play.
Yeah. How about the steals? Do you talk to the guy first? Do you give the steal sign at first base, or is that Donnie?
Coach Hillerman gives the signs, but I know guys that have green lights, and I'll aid them in picking the right moments to get going.
Right.
He actually plays a big role in that because, and a good example was sometimes if if somebody's picking up on something too, we feel like from the dugout they might be trying to steal a sign or something. I'll tell him like, hey, I'm not going to be able to signal. You're just going to have to take that or whatever. But yeah, we're very much on the same page in terms of trying to get the right timing, and to go and stuff like that. And but Ryan does a great job. I mean, he knows he's very prepared to give good information to the kids. And this last week when we went on spring break, he wasn't there. I had players over there, and you could we were playing some non-league games, so it wasn't important. But yeah, it's definitely a competitive disadvantage when you don't have that, especially when you're accustomed to having it.
So how about third base? So what's the hardest decision you have to make as a third base coach?
I mean, there's a lot of decisions. I don't know if I've ever thought about it as the hardest or anything like that. Lately, this year, I feel like I've gotten more guys thrown out at home plate than usual.
That necessarily a bad thing, though?
Not necessarily. I mean, and there's times when it's a good time to go ahead and take that shot, you know. And but I was kind of telling the kids. I always try to tell the kids how to try to coach them to read me. So if they see me moving down the line, I'm hanging with them because we may put a stop sign up.
Right.
The other day, Jordy never even looked at me, and it was almost all I could do to stop him, you know. But they got to be reading me. If I'm coming to the base, I'm trying to get them by me. I'm picking up the next guy, and they know they're clear, you know. So those things kind of matter. But I a lot more often than not, I'm watching the play out there to see if we get a bobble, what may be happening, so it may affect my decision making. So I kind of like the player does that feels a ground ball and he's got a base runner running. I have an internal clock of where I think these guys, where I know these guys should be based on their.
Yeah.
So this year, some of the frustrations are we work a lot on angles, running base angles, you know, base running angles. So we
Cutting the
are
bag,
efficient,
that sort of
cutting
thing.
the bag, and you know, we've been a little inefficient at times, and I look up and a guy should be here and he's over here, and I'm like, oh crap, you know, like so those are some, I guess, some of the biggest decisions are just trying when to go or not go with guys.
Right.
We scored Campy from first base the other day on a ball to left field.
Right.
And I mean, you talk
I
about
that. I couldn't believe
like,
it.
I can't imagine I'm going to send him, but it looks like I'm going to send him. And I told him he needs to start and hitch the wagon from first step next time.
That's awesome.
There's all kinds of monkeys jumping on that back.
Yeah, that's a great story. Recruiting. How do you guys handle recruiting?
I think if there's one thing we've decided about recruiting several years ago, more so than ever, and this goes back me being a really old guy, is it used to be you recruited talent first, because most people they understood the nuance of the game, they had some savvy, they had some compete, they had some toughness, and attitude was also important, but talent was really the key thing. Obviously we want talent, but now it's more about character, I think, coachability, getting quality guys that you can work with. And that's a little more tougher to navigate these days. You got these academies and they're being paid money to try to place kids. One, they may not have the enough contact to truly see the person's character, but also they're in a business and you can't trust them like you could you'd like to. But yeah, we share those duties in different ways. He does a lot of scheduling of kids that come in and work out and things like that. We get out some. You know, it's just a variety of different things we do. Camps, clinics, showcases.
There's not a recruit that comes to campus that, you know, I don't tell them, you know, the hardest thing for us in recruiting is knowing your work ethic, your character, those types of things, which are probably the most important thing, because we can tell very easily whether you have the talent to compete at our level.
Right.
But what we can't tell is, can you take the physical talent that you have and then continue to improve and really benefit from our program and therefore our program benefit from you?
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing in recruiting.
Well, I tell you, I was told one time that the best person that can evaluate and help you with that is the school secretary.
Yeah.
Because she, or sometimes cases he, knows everything that goes on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I throw that in there. Yeah. Finally, what do you think, what do you aspire to this season with this team?
Well, one goal Coach mentioned, and this is what we actually have as a goal, is to always improve. So we want to be playing our best baseball at the end of the season, and Coach said that earlier in this conversation. So we just feel like if we just continue to move forward, and we're always playing our best and improving, if that can be our main focus, then our chances are the best they can be at the end to have success in postseason. And I think that's probably at the end of the day our goal. I think the team has talked about goals like maybe 30 wins, just to give them something tangible to look at and think about. Things like that. Academics, we also have academic goals and things.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we want to win a region title and move as deeply into the postseason as possible. So those are definitely goals too.
Right. Awesome.
I feel like this team, being so young, whatever we can achieve this year, we can then take further next year. So obviously, if we could get to the district, maybe even beyond the district level, would be awesome.
Right.
And the potential's there, but we still got a lot ahead of us, so we want to get too far ahead of ourselves. So.